Hi, my name is Katie Beth Westerman, and today I will be discussing my observations for my Development Characteristics of Diverse Learners class. To begin with, I'd like to tell you about the classroom environment. As you can see, I have created a map of what the classroom layout was like. The students sat in desks in seats of 5 right here, and this type of classroom is called desk clusters. And what I really liked about it was they could get in the floor and learn too. And the teacher would lecture from here sometimes, and sometimes even here, so we could see everybody facing this way on the projector. I asked the teacher I was observing with how many times he moved his desks around a semester for different seating arrangements, and he said he only moved it 2 times a semester. And I really liked that because I've been in classes where they switch just about once every other week, so that was really nice. As far as exceptionalities went, there were only 2 students in the entire classroom that had an individualized education plan in this classroom, otherwise known as IEPs. And the students with IEPs in this room were only for speech impairments and to have speech therapy, so it didn't affect their learning core subjects in the normal classroom. When I asked the teacher why there weren't so many students with an IEP, he told me this was honestly his first time in teaching in 10 years that he hadn't had this student with ADHD or some kind of learning disability in that sense. And the reason was because almost half of his room were all ESL students, and ESL means English as a Second Language. And honestly, it was a really great experience that I got to see so many ESL students in one place. They were speaking their language sometime to me. They knew it was confusing me at some points, but it was a good experience getting to learn with them. And a lot of them spoke English very, very well, and I was glad about that. But they had GT as a pull-out, but not necessarily where specific students went to GT, and because they were too young. But I saw a lot of potential for a lot of the students to go to that when they're older because of just how creative they were. As far as classroom management goes, his class was very well managed, and they all behaved super well. It was honestly the most quiet and well-behaved classroom I've ever observed for, and I was extremely proud of them for. As far as class rules and classroom management went, the classroom management in this class was very, very well constructed, and I was very impressed with it. This right here was kind of their card pulling system. If they did something they weren't supposed to, they would move their penny over, and over here are just different things that would happen, like call parent if it got far enough. But these are the rules that he had, and I loved how they are I will statements instead of don't do this, don't do that. It's a very positive way to tell the rules to his students. And over here is just another example of something I liked in his room. If they had a problem, they'd raise 2 fingers up in the air, or if they had a question, it was 3, and I liked that because he knew what was going on before he even got there, so very efficient. My experience in the classroom, I got to interact with the students a lot and more on a collective scale. I would walk around the room, see if they needed any help with questions or such. I even got to teach a few times and go over worksheets with them. I was really thankful for that opportunity. But the reason this picture is here is because the teacher incorporated play into his lessons a lot, and that was something I really appreciated. This was just one day that they got to choose between Legos and Play-Doh, and I sat down with a girl and we made this together, and it was funny. As I said before, there really wasn't any students that needed specific help with learning, but anytime there was like a question that they needed help with, I was able to use skills to answer their questions since there wasn't any type of learning disabilities. But something I did notice was the way I approached to answering questions, and I have for a while now, was the way that the teacher I observed did as well, which is by asking questions to make them think a little harder than they are on the question that they've been given. To summarize what I learned this semester at Clarksville, I would say that it was good being around ESL students and seeing how they interact in the classroom. I've never really gotten to see that before anywhere else I've observed. But also something I learned there was how it would be a good idea to have your take-home letters for parents in not only English but the other language that may be spoken at home, because a lot of these kids, I think their parents only spoke one language or barely any English. So that was something that the teacher did for them that I really thought was a good idea. But overall, observing in Clarksville was really good for me this semester, and I learned a lot, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.